So if you're in a relationship and you just don't feel things are right, and you're just longing for that connection and that absolute flow and feeling of great love and satisfaction in a personal relationship, but for some reason there seems to be this blockage, something you just can't seem to get over. There is a reason for this. This comes from your former years, in your childhood, the formative years. Now, there's a lot of research that's been done on the importance of those first few years of your life. And that actually shapes the rest of your life when you're an adult, how you relate to others, how you deal with especially romantic relationships and other individuals. A lot of it is what we call unconscious conditioning. So when you're a child, you have almost like a blank slate, a blank computer, and all experiences start forming and start giving you a blueprint on how you're going to interact and how you're going to relate to others. Now, there are some dysfunctional relationships or situations, if not dealt with, will really impact you in your present day relationships. I want to talk what those are and also just give you some tips into what we need and how you can heal. The good news is you're able to heal. I'm going to give you some good self-help tips that you can try and master in your personal life to enhance your relationships and find that deep, meaningful connection that you're looking for. So there are 3 primary factors that impact you in terms of current day relationships. The one is if you haven't processed any sort of family loyalty, unconscious family loyalties that exist. And this usually comes as a result of something that's occurred in your former years that you feel a deep sense of shame, even though you may not be aware of it. And that's why it's called unconscious. And the whole idea is to bring those unconscious beliefs to the conscious so that you can heal. Second one is a lot of unresolved traumas. Anything that was traumatic for you as a child. Now, as an adult, you may frown upon and think, geez, that's nothing. But you need to bear in mind, as a child, you don't have the capacity to deal with these emotional issues. And that's when it comes back later on and manifests in ways and impacts your current day relationships. Third factor is unprocessed grief. If you faced any major loss as a young infant or a young child, that really impacts you. And that's why Sigmund Freud always said that your personality is established by the age of 5, because the formative years are so critical and so important on how you're going to function in your later life. So what I'm going to cover is what is it that you need? They're fundamental human needs. And if you like this content and you don't want to miss any more videos that are self-help of this nature, please subscribe to my channel. There are 3 fundamental principles that we all need to have harmonious relationships. The first one is a sense of belonging, and that is inclusion. It's critical for us as human beings to have a sense of belonging and that we feel part of something bigger than ourselves. The second one is balance, and that's the fairness of giving and taking in a relationship. The third fundamental one is respect. Respect of each other's roles and how it impacts you later on in life. So a lot of our dysfunction actually comes from unconscious drivers that have been programmed into us. So what therapy usually does, it brings those unconscious drivers into the conscious state so that you can identify what are your triggers and how you're going to deal with it. You already have the answers. You can do this on your own, and this is a self-help. Although it doesn't replace therapy, because I always propose and say therapy is outstanding. I myself went through intensive therapy. Having studied psychology and having gone through this myself, I just saw the huge benefit. I'm also aware that many people out there just don't even know where to start. So I'm hoping to be a catalyst in some way to help you start on this journey of becoming conscious of the way you behave, the way you've been conditioned, and to make life better for you, more meaningful, to have those great personal connections that you so long for. So the first one is in a relationship, especially in a personal relationship, romantic relationship, we do need to have a sense of belonging, of being included. And that's what gives us almost a sense of safety and connection with somebody, is that we know that we are valued, that we belong there and we're included. Usually what happens though is that we have a history when somebody was included in our family, for whatever reason it may be. And I'm not going to go into family constellations and the background, but that's when it comes alive and triggers within you, is if you are excluded for something, this is when you start behaving in a way that is not conducive to creating that connection that you so long for and desire to have. So if you're finding that you've been excluded or it's been one of those triggers, what you can do is acknowledge how you feel, but then voice it. By voicing it means that you're going to be authentic to yourself. Your partner can either change their behavior, and make a concerted effort to include you more. And if they don't, at least you've been true and authentic to yourself. Then you need to go where you belong. So the major point I want to bring across is to take the accountability out of your hands. It's to sit and observe the reaction to your partner when you voiced your dissatisfaction about not being included in things. So if you've allowed yourself to be vulnerable and you've expressed how you feel about it, this is where it's so important to stand back and just observe. If your partner really cares for you and really loves you, they're going to make the effort to include you and make you feel as though you have a sense of belonging. If you don't see a change, so if you've done what you can do and you've expressed yourself and you've been vulnerable and there is no change, you've done what you can do, what is possible for you. You've taken responsibility for yourself. The rest is upon them. At least in this way, you're not going to have any regrets. You're not going to be sitting there saying, what if I'd done this? What if I had done that? You walk away with a sense of peace and knowing you did the best that you could do in terms of that relationship. Second point is about having a healthy balance of give and take. If you're the one who's continuously giving the whole time, you're going to feel a great sense of resentment and unfairness. Good relationships are built on that equilibrium, where both of you are giving and both of you are taking. If one person continuously gives and the other person continuously takes, this is going to result in a dysfunctional relationship. And you're going to miss out on the most beautiful relationship where one person stands in for the other when you need it. You're going to start resenting your partner. And you don't want to be in a relationship where you feel resentment. You want to admire and keep the love and joy alive in the relationship. What I want to highlight is a parent-child relationship is fundamentally different to a relationship with a romantic partner. The one of a parent-child is when the parent is expected to give unconditionally and the child accepts. That's when you start forming a long, loving relationship later on in life. So if in your former years you had to take on the role of being the parent and your parent became the child, this can result in you trying to overcompensate for it in your later life. So the fact is, parents should give unconditionally and children should receive. And that's how you are in a healthy position to pass the love on in your later life. Now, I'm not talking about giving something physically. I'm talking about to give emotionally. I'm talking about operating from a great sense of love. So the benefits of actually having this equilibrium of give and take in a relationship is that you're both going to grow. You're going to start nurturing a relationship where the two of you are going to grow concurrently. So avoid a situation where there's one person dominating the relationship, where only one person takes and the other person keeps on giving. And avoid you making excessive sacrifices. It's going to create a dysfunctional relationship. Learn to master the skill of communicating and voicing what you really feel, what is important to you. Now, third factor that is actually fundamental, and I think sometimes it's ignored, and that is about having respect for the role that you occupy in any relationship. Now, coming back to that parent-child relationship, if the child has to become the parent, you start what we call entangled, enmeshed relationships. And it creates a lot of conflict later on in life and frustration for that individual. So the way you go about in a healthy relationship is you understand, you have healthy discussions about what your expectations are for each other's role. So just a simple one may be, all right, my role is going to be, I will see to all the grocery shopping. And your role is to look at all the cooking needs. So at least we've clearly defined what our roles are going to be. And there's no confusion where our responsibilities lie. If we honor each other's roles and we respect each other's roles, that's when relationships flourish. So all of us have these unconscious conditionings from our former childhood. What is important is when you go into a relationship is to express the greatest empathy that you have for anyone. I mean, empathy is what it's about. Putting yourself in someone's shoes, especially in a loving relationship. You want to nurture it, you want to care for each other, and you want to be there for each other to create those three fundamental principles that I spoke about. To have this great sense of belonging, sense of inclusion, and then also to know that you understand each other's roles, you respect each other's roles. Relationships start flourishing when these three things are in line. So make it your priority to become skillful in communicating what your needs are, understand your past conditioning, and heal from it. Acknowledge it, honor the past, and become skillful in moving forward and not letting it become a blockage for you in your relationships. I'm really curious. I want to know how long it takes you in your relationship where you start feeling that sense of discomfort. So is it 3 months? Is it 6 months? 18 months? When do you start feeling that pull away from that relationship? Let me know in the comments section. I respond to each and every comment, and I'd love to have a discussion with you around this. Thanks so much for watching. If you don't want to miss any more content like this, don't forget to subscribe and put your notifications on so that you don't miss another upload. See you in the next one.